Today's question comes from Sean in Missouri. I'm currently in baby step 2, and I will be completely debt-free next year. I have a career, but I'm not sure if it's my calling. Is it a bad idea while I'm in baby step 2 to pay for a one-time coaching session with a career counselor to get some career goals and get some guidance on how to reach those goals? I can budget in the expense and pay for it with cash on hand so I wouldn't incur additional debt. That's not a bad idea. That is a very inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. If you're in control of that budget and you cash flow for one session, that's not going to cost you too much. I would do my homework, though, and make sure that it's a reputable coach. But I'd like to save you the money on the coaching session. And for $30, you can get that Clear Career Assessment at RamseySolutions.com and get your results, and then call the Ken Coleman Show. Give me 5 minutes, and then we can decide on a career coach. And I think even then, that is a good decision to get some clarity from somebody else, and so that we begin to say, all right, now I can begin to see the mountaintop, and I can figure out how to climb up the mountaintop. So you can definitely cash flow that. Good idea.
Oz Guinness years ago did a book called The Calling.
Yes.
And man, I guess that was probably 25 years ago I read that book, something like that. But I've noticed in my life that the first thing I started doing was earning money to eat.
Yes.
And so get the wolf away from the door, pay the bills, that kind of stuff. Took a job.
Yes.
The second thing I did was I moved from that into a career.
Yes.
With meaning. And I'm talking about the stuff I do today. It didn't start all altruistic. I didn't start with a clear understanding that this was the calling on my life. Now I can look back 30 years later and say, of working in the same thing, and say this was a call.
Yep.
It was God's call on my life, and I'm sure of that. And those of you that have benefited by the things we do around here are sure of that. And so, but when I started, and I get in front of the microphone the first time, write the first book, I was still in career mode at that point. I was beyond job. I was trying to do something with meaning and so forth, but I would not have been prepared truthfully.
Yes.
To say that's a calling. I had to realize that a little bit later.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad you actually brought this up.
Now, I'm not sure when you're 21 and you're in college, you know what your calling is.
No. But I would say if we redefine calling for just a moment and say calling is to be who you were created to be. Now, once you find out the answer to that, you can make a great career out of that, and that's what we teach. But calling, if we really look at it, we say, what is calling? And that's how we at Ramsey Solutions look at work. When we say work's not a 4-letter word, folks, we're trying to challenge you to say you were created to work, created to contribute. And so calling is realizing that there's something that I was created to do because I've got talent. It turns out there's things I love to do, and it turns out there's results that really fire my heart up. So calling is actually being who you're supposed to be. Career, multiple ways to fulfill calling.
And I suppose the phrase evolved from people of faith, where a pastor would say, "God called me to preach." And our good friend Rabbi Lapin, Jewish Orthodox rabbi, says that the word worship and the word work are very similar words in Hebrew. That in a very real sense, that when you're working, you're worshiping.
That's exactly what it is.
And that's why we have worship service on the weekend and customer service on Monday. And so that's there's a lot of overlap there. And so calling is saying, it's a throwback, whether you're a person of faith or not, you're accidentally throwing back to people of faith and saying, okay, God's calling me. His calling on my life is this, which is what you were saying, is what you're designed to do.
That's it. So we are all called to contribute, if I'm going to say that. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what God wants for us, is to just be us, because we all have got something unique to contribute.